Let's see how we can use eSword to do a Bible word study. We will assume that we are studying 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 8 and that we want to investigate the word ashamed. There it is there. The first thing that we need to do is find the underlying Greek word. If it's New Testament, if it were Old Testament, it would be the underlying Hebrew word. In the default version of eSword, the only way you can do this is to use the module called KJV+. This is King James Version with Strong's numbers, assuming that you don't have the ability to read Greek. If I turn to KJV+, you will see that it's added a Strong's number after each word, and we can see that the word ashamed is G1870. If I simply point at it, it opens a pop-up from the Strong's dictionary, and I can see an English transliteration of the underlying Greek word. It is epaischunomai. So this is one way of finding the underlying Greek word, by using the Strong's number. Now if I click on that Strong's number, it will open any dictionaries in my eSword library that happen to have Strong's numbers attached to the relevant word. The problem is that in the normal version of eSword, the free version, you only get two. One is Strong's, which is the old Strong's Exhaustive Concordance, which will give you a very basic definition. For instance, here it tells you that the word means to feel shame for something, to be ashamed, and that in the King James Version it occurs 11 times. The only other dictionary you get that has Strong's numbers attached is Thayer's Lexicon, and it's not the full Thayer, it's only Thayer's definitions. So here again we have similar information to what we got from Strong's. Unfortunately, in eSword this is fairly limiting. What you might consider doing is buying a good dictionary, a good lexicon. eSword offers one good lexicon that is keyed to Strong's numbers. It is Zodiates' Complete Word Study Dictionary. So if we make the dictionary bigger, this is Zodiates' entry for it, and you'll see that we get a lot more information from Zodiates. He gives us a little bit of the word's forms, quite a few places where it's used. He will often give you more than one good definition where it has multiple meanings. He gives you something of the derivatives. He gives us some synonyms, the words for to be sorry, to invert or withdraw, to shame, and so forth. And he even gives us some antonyms, to rejoice, to be merry, and so forth. He is a worthwhile investment if you are working with eSword, so that you at least have one good lexicon that gives you more detailed information. I mentioned that the first step is to identify the underlying Greek word. The next step would be to consult a good dictionary. We've seen that we can do that. Once we've done that, our third key step is to find all occurrences of this word in the New Testament so that we can study how it is used in other places. The way that we do this is to go back to the underlying Strong's number. So in my KJV Plus version, I'm going to go back to G1870. I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to choose Quick Search. Now entire Bible won't help me because this is a Greek word, that's what the G in the number means, and Greek words only appear in the New Testament, so I'm going to search the entire New Testament for references to Strong's number G1870. And once I do that, eSword is going to return a list of all the places where the underlying Greek word epaischunomai is used in the New Testament. There they are. I get a summary at the end that tells me there are 9 verses, 11 matches. Clearly this means that 2 of the verses have 2 matches. And if I browse through this list, I can see all the biblical occurrences of the Greek word epaischunomai and how they are used. This, of course, is based on the King James Version. If I want to study this list of references later, I can save it as a verse list. I can also limit my study to a specific range. For instance, I'm dealing with the pastoral epistles, so I could go and choose just the pastoral epistles, 1 Timothy through to Titus, and rerun my search. This will give me only places in the pastoral epistles where this word is used. I could also have chosen to look at all 13 Pauline epistles to see how it's used. So we can work with that list of results in ways that allow us to get a sense of the meaning of the word and its usage in Paul, in the pastoral letters, and so on. I'm going to close that search. I told you that I was working in the King James Version Plus because it's the only free one in eSword that gives Strong's numbers attached. If you invest in the New American Standard Bible, it also has an NASB Plus option which comes with Strong's numbers attached, and sometimes, not always, but sometimes you'll get slightly different results when you work with the New American Standard Bible. Not too often, and if we look at this, yes, actually, in this particular case, we can see that that underlying Greek word occurs 2 more times in the text underlying the NASB than it does in the text underlying the KJV. So I like the NASB more than the KJV, so I would tend to work with that if I were doing this in eSword, but it is a small cost to buy the New American Standard Bible collection. If we recap, 3 steps. Firstly, find the underlying Greek word. Secondly, see what a good dictionary says its meaning or range of meaning is. And thirdly, search for all the occurrences of that word in the New Testament and then study them. Once you've done that, you will try to draw conclusions about the meaning of the word in your passage.